Well, hello, Mike Sutton from Habitat for Humanity. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Welcome to Wesley Chapel.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
In our Emery's Rock Realty studio here. And
I love what you guys have done here.
isn't this great?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so we have it available for our members too. I don't know if I was sharing that with you, but
cool.
So that our members can try podcasting.
Awesome.
Our little sign's hanging up by a thumbtack.
Oh, nice.
So our members can take it down.
Take it down and replace it with theirs.
Yeah.
I like it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's have a chat.
Okay.
Because I have been watching you on social media and watching your work and seeing all the amazing things that you are doing, thinking outside of the four walls of a house and all of the cool things. And I just want to pick your brain and talk about it.
There's not much there. But
there's not much.
Go for it.
I mean, after merging two organizations and all of that. So share a little bit about Habitat and the area that you cover, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So we now are in 3 counties in the Tampa Bay region. We acquired the West Pasco Habitat in 2018, and then in 2024 we acquired Hernando County as part of our service area. So we also went through a rebranding. So we're now known as Habitat for Humanity Tampa Bay Gulf Side, as all 3 counties we serve, border up against the Gulf. Pasco County is a little unique. There are 2 habitats. So we serve the western side of the county from the Suncoast Parkway to the water, and then East and Central Pasco Habitat serves the remainder of the county, with the majority of their work, I believe, in Dade City and Zephyr Hills.
Yeah. And because our county is so wide.
Yeah.
And it's hard to...
A lot of people would make the argument that it probably should be 2 counties.
Yes.
There's a lot, there's definitely an east-west thing going on.
Yes.
Which makes it a challenge.
Sure. Oh, trust me, we know. We're, engaged in looking at the feasibility of Wesley Chapel being its own city.
Yeah.
And Wesley Chapel just happens to sit right in the middle of, the east and the west. So it's kind of an interesting
Wants to
county.
succeed from the...
from the union.
Yeah,
it's one of those things, like you're almost outgrowing county government and you need your own. So the business community is actually pushing it and kind of looking towards that. So
could make sense.
It could.
What are there? 4 municipalities in Pasco? 5?
5, yeah.
5? Yeah. Well, down in Pinellas, we deal with 26.
Yes,
so.
I know. There's a lot there. And, speaking of mergers and consolidation and things like that, there's opportunities. There's also a lot of chambers in Pinellas.
Yeah, I think we're members of 14 in Pinellas alone. I'm a big proponent for regionalism and consolidations. I think we can do more by working together. I was chair of the Clearwater Regional Chamber when we merged with the Clearwater Beach Chamber and became Amplify Clearwater. And I was board chair at the time when we did all that. And I think one of the things we have to do a much better job of is acting like a region.
Yes.
And that includes, really, at the end of the day, the entire MSA of Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, and Hernando. We have a lot of work to do.
We've come a long way, though.
A ton.
And I know when I got here, I think there were 8 chambers in Pasco County.
Oh, geez.
We're down to 3. Which makes a lot of sense now, where we can all focus on our areas. But for a long time, we all worked in our own silos.
Yeah.
And even, when we acquired, our entities are very similar. We've had acquisitions, we've had rebrandings and mergers and consolidation and different things like that. When we took over the new Tampa Chamber back in 2015, it was like we crossed that invisible line into Hillsborough, and the people were like, "Oh my gosh, can we do that?" In New Tampa. But you break down those walls and you become a region.
Sure.
And very quickly, we're becoming a mega region. And we have an MOU that Amplify Clearwater's part of. We're part of it, with all of us chambers working together.
Which is the way it should be.
Which the way it should be. Yeah. We're not in competition with each other. We're all working for the same thing, so let's do it together.
For sure.
And so I love that you say regionalism, because that's one of our biggest things here at the chamber.
You think about it from a business standpoint. If you have to be a member of, X amount of chambers to have involvement all throughout the community, it really kind of dwindles your impact,
Yes.
right? So, I find in our case, we end up joining a number of chambers probably at the bottom level just because we have to spread it around.
Sure.
I could do more if it was a larger chamber. And I also wouldn't have to have so many staff members all, serving in different capacities across so many different organizations. So there's definitely opportunity. I love the fact that you guys have gone that way in Pasco County.
Yeah.
There's probably some lessons to be learned down south, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
We have a great, relationship with a lot of the chambers. We have some folks that serve on various boards and that kind of thing. And so we appreciate everything you guys do in the community.
We're working together in concert with the civics organizations like yourself. I consider you guys a civic organization, a nonprofit that really helps the community. And what you're doing in St. Pete, let's talk about that, because that is such a cool concept, cool idea. How did it come about? And share a little bit.
At the end of the day, it's all about the private-public partnerships, right? So you have to have an administration, in the government that is willing to partner and sees you as a valuable asset to the community. We're a nonprofit by tax status, not by business model. And we work really hard at ensuring we're able to do what we say we can do. And I think, Mayor Welch and his administration sees that. And we've always done what we said we would do. And so there's such a need for housing in our market. And there's especially a need for affordable home ownership, right? I think a lot of times when you hear about projects coming online and you see, there's 100 affordable units here, 200 there, 50 over there, a lot of times it's rental. Actually, 99% of the time it's rental. There's very few people that are doing the work that Habitat does, where we are changing the generational trajectory of families by providing them the opportunity to build equity and own their own home. And so in St. Petersburg, especially in the southern part of St. Pete and South St. Pete, high percentage of rental. And so, I think the mayor saw that there was this opportunity to kind of flip that script a little bit and provide folks the opportunity to anchor themselves in the community. And so we were awarded a number of different properties from the city. 10 townhomes, 11 townhomes, and 40 townhomes. And that's in addition to a lot of the other work that we're doing. We just purchased, we literally just closed on it this week, a former church in St. Pete. It was part of the Episcopal Diocese, and their membership had dwindled, and the church was looking to liquidate the property, and they partnered with Habitat as opposed to a developer.
Love it.
Because we have the opportunity to help them leave a legacy, right? So we're going to name the property after the church, and we're going to find a way to try to recruit some potential homeowners out of the Episcopal Church. For us, it's really about, if people want to partner with us and they want to have conversations with it, let's sit down and, get out the whiteboard and figure out how can we make it work.
Right. And I love that public-private partnership. It's so important. And a lot of developers I talk to, because, we're growing this community.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But there's still the need for affordable home ownership. And what's affordable to one is not affordable to another.
Yeah.
Our demographics probably aren't your normal demographics for where you guys come into a community. But nonetheless, looking into the future, we absolutely will be.
Yeah. Well, you think about kind of the Wesley Chapel and even the New Tampa area, and I've lived here my entire life, so I feel like I can kind of say this. But one of the frustrations I have is that there's kind of a little bit of a NIMBYism mindset. We know we need affordable housing, but we don't want that in Wesley Chapel.
No.
We don't need that here. But what about the folks, on my way in, I stopped and got gas at the racetrack. What about the people that work at racetrack, right? They're commuting, 30, 45 minutes to come work.
Yep.
And there's a lot of that here at the mall, what have you, people in retail, people in healthcare, and we see that all across the region, that people are commuting a significant amount of time, and that also costs resources with gas and takes them away from family time and that kind of thing to come to work, all because we can't understand that affordable housing, affordable home ownership doesn't mean crime. It doesn't mean drugs. It doesn't mean that we're making the community worse. Those are the people we rely on all the time.
Right.
And I was telling somebody this the other day. We built 5 homes recently in Safety Harbor. Hardest 5 homes we've ever built. Took us 3 years. Only took us 20 weeks to build the 5 homes. It took us almost 3 years to get through the process because we had such an uproar from the community. People, we don't, you're going to affect housing prices. We don't need that kind of housing in our community or those people. 3 out of the 5 homes were for school teachers that purchased the homes from us. And my argument back to the community that was giving us a hard time was, these folks are good enough to take care of your kids during the workday, but they're not good enough to live in your neighborhood. Like, help me understand that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a lot of the messaging that we work on now is like, let's put a face to who these people are.
Correct. And take that stigma of this is not Section 8 housing. This
Correct.
is home ownership.
Yeah.
This is, and not that Section 8 housing, every place has
everybody
their place.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing to hear you talk about that because there are those that say, we don't need that here. Yes, we do.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that there is one company here who the owner of the company is considering buying apartments for his employees to be able to rent to own from him because they're driving to Hernando to come to work in Wesley Chapel.
Yeah.
And every developer I talk to.
And at some point, that's going to stop, right?
Yeah.
They're going to get tired of that drive, and they're just going to say, look, the amount of money and time I'm spending, I can do something here close to home. I might make a little bit less, but at some point, it's a tipping point.
Exactly.
You get more time with your family, you get more time with your kids, the gas, the frustration of sitting in traffic.
Right. That's enough to make anybody mental. And then the toll that traffic takes on our infrastructure.
Yeah.
And if we look at it holistically, it's like, okay, wait, this does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Let's keep our people here. It starts to create that tax bed as well.
Yeah.
And so it just helps your community grow. And I think as we grow, we need to have this in mind.
Yeah, I thought the region's come a long way. But I really thought a number of years ago when Amazon was looking for, I think they were looking for their 4 headquarters in the United States, and Tampa was being heavily considered, Tampa Bay region. And they didn't go with Tampa Bay because we lacked affordable housing, we lacked transportation.
Public transit. Yep, I remember this conversation.
And I always thought like, okay, this is the wake-up call we need as a region. And sometimes we really struggle to work across municipality lines, to get the different counties collaborating and working together. We see it between Hillsborough and Pinellas where there's something funky with that body of water. Pasco is trying really hard to not be that bedroom community. It's like there's such a fight, whereas if we just really leaned into what we are as a region, we could, places like Amazon would look at us for headquarters. But as long as we can't get past the public transportation, affordable housing, it's going to be tough.
It is. And I know that over the last couple of years, there's been lots of conversations about a regional MPO.
Yeah.
And I think that that's gaining some momentum, and I hope that will help.
Yeah.
And I talk to developers all the time, and they say, I'll carve out a few acres.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
And then it just seems like something happens, and it doesn't move forward.
Yeah.
But, we're, as the business community, we want to ensure that our workforce has a quality of life.
Yeah. We've had some conversations with big developers over the last few years where, if they're throwing down 600-700 homes in a subdivision, we say, and it's kind of a lower end product in terms of closer to the Habitat price point. We'll say like, look, let us buy 5 or 10 lots from you in the neighborhood. We'll build the exterior of the home to the same exact specifications. We may not have as many upgrades inside the home to keep the cost down. So instead of granite, maybe, we're going with something different or what have you. But the conversation typically is met well. But then when we start talking about where the price needs to be on the lots, it's just hard to make it work.
What is the price point for a Habitat house?
So we typically, our homes vary anywhere from about 250,000 to 400,000.
Okay. That's respectable. That's
Very much. But you know what? And a lot of people will say, oh, 250, that's not affordable, or 400,000 is definitely not affordable. But you put a zero interest mortgage on it, which is what we offer, is the zero interest note, no down payment. A $300,000 home is $850 a month.
Wow.
So, that's where we can really, make a dent. So again, kind of what we were saying about the private public partnerships, it really does take, it takes the builder community, it takes government, it takes, it takes big business to understand their responsibility to giving back to the community and that social responsibility piece. And it takes the community as a whole embracing the concept that we need to find ways to anchor people in Florida. We talk a lot about the wealth that moved in after COVID and
Right.
over the last 5 years. I always laugh, you drive up and down streets in a brand new subdivision, half the place are from out of state.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about that, but what we're not talking about are the people that are leaving the state. And it's the lower income families. It's the workers that we need in hospitality, in tourism, healthcare, home healthcare. Those are the people that are leaving because they just can't afford to live here anymore.
It's becoming very expensive and affordable. Again, back to that, for one person is not affordable to others. But we've struggled with the language of that. Is it workforce housing? Is it affordable housing? Is it attainable housing?
Sure.
What is your guys' word that you use?
At the end of
It's just housing,
we've tried
right?
it all. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's affordable housing has gotten such a negative
Yeah.
stigma, so we tried going the workforce route. At the end of the day, everybody works in affordable. Like everybody that's trying to get a house through Habitat, affordable home ownership, they work. So it is workforce housing. I think at the end of the day, our big push is really just to educate people on who. It's kind of the face of Habitat. Like, who are these folks? Like,
Yeah.
what do they do for a living? And again, to my comment around the teachers, like
Yeah.
once people see, these are the folks that they rely on every day, it really does change mindsets. And it changes, the way people approach it and look at it.
So let's kind of talk through that. How
Yeah.
does somebody become a candidate
Yeah.
or a resident
Yeah.
of?
So they have to live or work in the area, right? So let's talk about Pasco, and we'll probably build about 15 homes in Pasco this year. We built 88 homes last year across our 3 counties.
It's incredible.
And so we've really been putting a focus on Pasco. The old West Pasco Habitat affiliate was building about 1 home a year. And they were more focused on their restore operation. We don't have restores. We don't do rehabs. We're singularly focused on new home construction. And so, we'll probably do around 15 homes this year. We'll probably continue to scale that up. We have a project on Little Road that should be starting soon where we're doing 25 single family homes, small little subdivision.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be really,
That's
really
really
good.
exciting.
It's right across the street from the new VA on Little.
Okay, yeah.
Our hope is that a lot of the homeowners that we recruit for that project will come straight out of the VA, employees there, or even at the government center next door.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So the folks that partner with us, they make too much to qualify for government assistance. They don't make enough to qualify for a mortgage amount that's going to get them a decent home. And so with Habitat, if they qualify based on income, so they have to fall in an income range. They live or work in the community. They have steady employment, so they can afford a mortgage, and they're willing to do we have education classes they have to go through, 38 classes. They also have to complete sweat equity hours, hundreds of hours. If they're willing to do all that and they qualify, it takes about 15 to 18 months to get through the program and to own their own home. But it's so worth it at the end of the day.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Because one, you're educating them so they don't lose the home.
Yep.
It's forever, and it's something they can pass on to their children, and therefore, and then the sweat equity part of it, I love that.
Yeah.
Because it gives them that pride.
Yeah. You can tell that, hey, I hung that cabinet, or I helped install these baseboards, or, I put that door in the front, and so there is a sense of pride that it instills in the family. They also learn things. So one of the things, part of the education is helping them so they don't have to call a repairman every time something happens.
Oh, cool.
So, how many times is the toilet,
Yes.
right?
I
And
just had to fix the office one on Monday.
Hey, other duties is assigned.
Trust me, I know.
But we teach them things like that. So when stuff comes up, they know how to do it, and just the minimalistic stuff around the house. So it's a great program. Honestly, I think about my experience of buying my first house. I wish I knew half of what these homeowners learned in their program, and I wish I had the education around the loan origination piece of the mortgage docs I'm signing and what they say. And,
oh my gosh, because nobody reads them.
No.
I mean, you can't.
No. You sit down and not to knock any, I'm not trying to say anything bad about the title industry, but they don't explain everything to you. It's just like, sign here, sign here, sign there.
Right.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. And then you have writer's cramp because you've signed your entire life away.
Yeah.
And every mortgage I've gotten, I go, oh my God, what am I signing? Like,
I
if
know.
I sat here and read this, I'd be here for a year.
And they just keep getting longer.
I'm sure. And, they do their best to give you the Reader's Digest version of, this is your smoke detector waiver, whatever the case may be. But it's like kind of scary. And you should probably take that homeownership class to schools.
We've talked about it, right?
Yeah.
We've, just in the last 2 years, we rolled out a couple kids programs in the program. Everything's been so adult focused, but what we realize is that the kids are watching their parents every step of the way. They see their parents having to go to these classes. They're getting less time with their family while their parents are in the program working on their sweat equity hours. So Saturdays, they're out on the site and they're swinging a hammer. And so the kids ask a lot of questions. And so we thought there was an opportunity there to do some education with the children.
Yeah.
So we brought a lot of them in, and we started a teens class. We started a kind of a grade school class. And really it's to kind of help them understand, what their parents are doing. And at the end of the day, how it's for them and their future. And that's really gone a long way. It's funny. We had, I'll never forget the first time we did the kids group. We had, I don't know, probably about 20 kids that were in grade school, all sitting on the carpet, and we're talking to them in our education room. And one of our staff members said, "Okay, what is Habitat?" And the one kid raised his hand and he said, "That means we can't go to McDonald's every night for dinner." And it was funny because what he was really trying to say was like, okay, my mom's learned that we can't just swipe the card all the time. We have to be smart about budgeting. It's, more cost effective to eat out, eat at home. We can, be smarter about the way we're spending our money. And so, it's funny. It's funny to see kids learn as well as the parents.
Well, and that sets them up for their future.
100%.
And in that they understand.
Yeah.
And so that's really cool that you can translate the programming into the younger kids and see. And then that also builds your core group of folks that in the future are going to keep the legacy of Habitat alive for building.
So we're coming up on 1,000 homes.
Wow.
Right? And by the way, out of the 1,000, we've only had 7 foreclosures in our history.
Okay.
So it talks about the success of the program.
Right.
But I would say probably 7 out of every 10 families now that gets accepted in comes to us through a referral from a current homeowner.
Really?
So their fellow employees, their kids go to school together, they know each other from high school, whatever that is. And so a lot of times the families we serve are being referred by other Habitat homeowners that have benefited from the program.
That's great.
Yeah.
So in the last couple of months, I've seen a lot of accolades for you, my friend, for leadership and business. How long have you been at Habitat?
About 11 and a half years now.
Okay.
At this, yeah.
And so what's your secret to success? And
anytime that, we receive any sort of recognition at Habitat, or I'm getting something personally, it's really, it's like all those individual recognitions. I mean, that's really a testament to the team we have.
Absolutely.
Right? They make me look good in terms of, the work that we do. We've built a phenomenal culture at Habitat. We've put a lot of time and energy into it. And so we've gotten a lot of best places to work. We were just named by Florida Trend as the best place to work in Florida.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, huge, right?
Huge.
And,
For a nonprofit, too.
Yeah,
I mean, and I
yeah.
know that you don't run as a nonprofit. We're the
Sure,
same way. We
sure.
have a nonprofit status, but we're corporate structure.
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, any of that recognition just helps us to build our brand. It helps solidify the work that we're doing. It helps also to validate the work we're doing in the community. And so, I'm very blessed. I have a phenomenal job. I love what I do. The team we've built is a rock star team. I took 3 weeks off in the beginning of July. It's the beginning of our fiscal year, and I usually take 2 or 3 weeks off just to disconnect, recharge.
Yeah.
And, taking 3 weeks off is hard. I talk to other CEOs, whether they're for-profit, nonprofit, and they have a hard time, and I think it's more on them, but they have a hard time disconnecting for a few days.
Me?
Well, we need to work on that.
I know. I took a month off in 2019.
Good.
And
it's time for another.
I know, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, because that's important, right? Like, you have to be your best for your team.
Correct.
You also have to be your best at home, right, for your family. So, but I took 3 weeks off, and my team, they held down the fort. There were no emergencies, no
That's
calls.
how you know
Yeah.
you've got a killer team.
Exactly.
And you've built that culture that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
I just happen to sit at the top, but we're all in this.
Well, I think a lot of people, it would kind of threaten them a little bit if they took off time and they weren't needed, so to speak.
Right.
To me, I look at it differently. Like, I do look at it like, okay, I've got the right team in place that, if something comes up, they're able to handle it. I think it's a reflection on, the culture and the group of people we have at Habitat.
In the processes that you have in place
Sure.
in your organization to where that, okay, this is great. And I felt that too when I took the month off. I was like, oh my gosh, how's this gonna work?
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
And it was because we had such a great team that held it up. And I just took off 3 days last week and was having a hard time disconnecting.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the boat, like,
well,
working.
I remember when I started doing this, because I want to say it was right around COVID time that I was like, okay, I'm gonna do whatever it was, 3 weeks. 2 years ago I did an entire month, but I recognized that first week away, you're still constantly looking at your phone when it dings, or you're still in the work mindset. It takes that first week just to disconnect. That second week, and then what I noticed in the third week, halfway through, you start getting a little bit of an itch, like, okay, I'm ready to get back to work, but I'm refreshed and I'm excited. And that's what I felt. When I came back to work after being away for 3 weeks, someone asked me how I was feeling, and I said, I feel clear.
Yeah.
Like, my thought process was there. Like, I could see issues that maybe I couldn't see right before I went on vacation. And I think it's important. Other societies around the world, they have it figured out.
Yes.
I always laugh, like, you go to Mexico, they have siestas. Places in Europe, you're forced to take a month off at a time. And here we are in America, and we teach ourselves that, we can't disconnect, or, long weekends do nothing.
No, they just cause more stress.
Yeah.
I remember very early in my career, a CEO of a publicly traded company, we were having a reception or something, and he goes, there is nothing like the Monday of your second week off.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what you need.
Yeah.
That Monday when you don't have to go back to work, you still have another week.
Yeah.
And that has just stayed with me.
Yep.
And yet I can't, seem to find the right time to do it. But
there's never a right time.
No.
Yeah. I started doing it at the end of our fiscal year, because I noticed the last quarter of our fiscal year, April, May, June, were always hectic. And then I also realized that there were quite a few people that were taking off during the summertime. So I was like, okay, it is a little bit of a slower time for us. And, now that I have a little one, it's also important, for the summertime, like, that's probably the best time. So,
Yeah. We kind of take July. I don't want to say we take it off at the chamber, but we don't host events and we don't do a lot of things because everybody's traveling. I try and we try and do July and December the same way.
Sure.
And so then I'll pack my vacation around Christmas, and be able to take time off then. But because then I feel like, okay, everybody else is off. I could be off too because the business community just seems to slow down in July for most of us. But
there's just not as many events and
correct.
Which, again, in our world, that's kind of a nice little breather.
It is.
You get into September or, March. I mean, like there's months where I could go to 4 things a night if I had that time. And, and again, that's why it's so important to also have a good team so that you can
divide and conquer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do that here. And I know that we run in some of the same circles in some of the events and we see each other and we're like, hi, we'll see you again tomorrow. Will you be at this? Will you be at that? So it's a hard life, but it's such a rewarding job.
When you care about your community.
Yes.
And you care about the people that are in your community and, you're building those long-term relationships. I mean, it kind of doesn't almost feel like
it doesn't feel like work. I know. I took my nephew. I brought him here a few times, and he goes, "This is your job."
Yeah.
He goes, "I think I want to do your job when I'm older." I'm like, "Okay, all right, buddy. Let's try getting up at 7:00 in the morning. Let's just start there."
Yeah. Exactly.
but they see this glamorous part of being a CEO because CEOs, you can't do your job in the office.
No.
Your job is out, building relationships, connecting community, and doing all of those things. So there's a lot that goes into an organization like ours.
Yeah.
And yes, there are some really fun perks.
Yeah.
However, there's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the day, we answer to a board.
Correct.
Right? And I had a boss one time that used to always say you're one board meeting away from losing your job when you're the CEO.
Oh, yeah.
Which I kind of think is a bad way to look at it. But at the same time, I mean, it is kind of true.
I say I serve at the pleasure of my board.
Exactly.
And it very well could.
Yeah. And a lot of times I'm glad to hear you're part of that coalition with the other chambers because it can be a lonely place, right? I mean, you have staff that, you can only talk to them about certain things, right? And it's not like you can sit down and vent about a staff issue with another staff member when you're the CEO. And then, you also have to manage up to the board. And so, you're kind of stuck in this weird place. And I think it's so important. I think people that are successful in these types of roles, it's because they've built that support system that they have.
You have to. Yeah. And we call our little text group is we're the chamber gang. And Mayor Jane Castor goes, "You guys really are a gang." And I go, "Oh, we are. We've got it." And that's because we need each other.
Of course.
And you need others that you can say, "Oh my God, I've got this situation. How have you helped it?" I've reached out to you and asked for your advice on when we were doing our mergers and things like that, just because we don't know everything, and sometimes we have to figure it out on the fly.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm on the board for the CEO Council of Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
and as part of the involvement there, I'm in a roundtable, and the roundtable has, I think there's 10 people on our roundtable, all different businesses. We have a banker, we have a construction guy, a nonprofit. I mean, it's all over the board. And I don't necessarily bring many problems to the group, but it is a problem-solving roundtable. I learn more from just listening.
Correct.
To, okay, these are the type of problems that I may face as a CEO. But then I learn so much from the way people respond or don't respond to things. And, I value that time because it's amazing just to see, different perspectives. And that's really what helps you grow. I never want to be the CEO that's complacent or that thinks that they know everything.
Oh, God, no.
Or that, I always say, like, I never want to be the smartest person in the room.
No.
because that's the point where you're not going to grow anymore, and
Right,
you're
and
not going to
that's-
learn anymore.
And when you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And I say all the time, if I'm not an effective leader,
Yeah.
then I don't want to be there. Like I want to.
How long have you been here now?
13
Wow.
years.
Wow, you're a teenager.
I know.
Wow.
Wow. And our chamber's only 27.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're a baby chamber. And, fortunately, I had other chamber experience when I came in. So I'm a 21-year chamber junkie.
Yeah.
And I love the power of the chamber.
Yeah.
And what we can do for a community. And there's a saying that behind every strong community, there's a strong chamber.
Sure.
And it's very evident here.
Yeah.
But we don't do it alone. It's with partnerships and collaborations.
I love what you all have done with your branding and the professionalism behind the chamber. And then the way that you all have also been able to kind of expand your reach. You're not the Wesley Chapel Chamber.
Yeah, that was hard for some to let go of. I had to
course.
name our gator Wesley Chapel. No, his name was Wesley Pasco, sorry. When we
okay.
changed our name to North Tampa Bay Chamber, we had some pushback.
Of course.
That we lost our identity and that we weren't claiming Pasco.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, first of all, Pasco doesn't
Yeah.
pay us any money, so we work for our members, and this
Yep.
gives the geography of who we are.
Yeah.
And so, but we've excelled with that,
Yeah.
and we've stayed very true to our mission, and we're not, we don't have mission drift. We stay focused, and we're here to have a healthy business community.
Yeah.
And so I think that you guys have done the same thing. You've stayed very mission focused.
Yeah. We've eliminated, the programs that were not successful or that were a time or even resource drain.
Yeah.
Our resource, there's a lot of Habitat affiliates around the country that if you pull their 990s, their restores lose money, but there's an emotional attachment there and they won't get rid of it.
Sure.
For some Habitat affiliates, they still are, what they set out to be, a fundraising mechanism for their organization. But, it's at the end of the day, you have to do what's for the betterment of not only the organization, but also the community. And so, we got a lot of pushback when I closed our stores. But I would always joke with people that gave me a hard time. I'd say, you didn't spend enough money. Should have bought more stuff.
Should have bought more stuff. Should have been here.
Yeah.
Volunteering.
Exactly.
Keep my overhead down.
Exactly. Yeah.
And when you push it back on them, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, understand. And that's such a hard thing for nonprofits to think like a corporation and make those tough decisions. And we've done it. We've cut out programs that they did have emotional attachment. But, hey, sorry.
At the end of the day,
it's
is
not
it really,
working.
well, is it advancing the mission?
Right.
We were talking earlier about St. Pete and kind of what we've done down there. One of the things Mayor Welch asked me early on in his term, actually, it might have been before the election or when he was running, what do we need to do to build more homes? And I told him, I need land and I need support financially. We can build more homes, but I need that from you, right? And okay, we're going to do it, right? And so, I think when we're open and honest with the community about what the needs are, they either step up or,
Absolutely. And I always give this as a platform.
Sure.
Tell us what you need.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting here and somebody told me what they needed and kid you not, walked out of here and there was a developer standing in our office. And I go,
oh, that's funny.
hey, you got 6 acres. We
Yeah,
could maybe
yeah.
put this project on. And he's like, absolutely, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And I go, boom, chamber
There you go.
magic. So don't be afraid to tell us. Do you need volunteers?
We do well with volunteers. We're very, very blessed that, the community rallies behind us and supports us. Right now we have, in Pasco, we're building 7 homes next to each other, kind of by Little Road and 52, little rural area, but 7 homes all under construction at the same phase. And so we are right now looking for volunteers on that, but it's hot and it's hard for people to come out and swing a hammer with us, but we always need that. From a resource standpoint, we need people that, have the ability, to support us. We did $41 million in revenue last year. it's a lot of money, and almost all of that is local. So we raise it locally, and it's put back into the community here locally.
That's awesome.
And so, we need continued support. I driving in, Subaru Wesley Chapel is a good example of Scott Fink.
Yeah, his son Ryan's on my board.
Well, that's funny
Yeah.
because Jordan, his other son, works for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he's our on-staff attorney
Yeah.
at Habitat. And Scott's a great friend, a great mentor, a great supporter. We need, and, I went to him last year. I said, hey, we're building a couple homes in Newport Richey. I really need somebody to step up to help us out. And, he cut a very large check to help us make it work. So we need that kind of stuff. We
Yeah.
need people to step up, and we need people to support us. And yeah, we need those $100,000 donations, but we also need those $100 donations. And so people that, have the ability to do that, I mean, that's probably the number one driver for us to be able to serve more families.
Well, where can people find you? So we make sure that we add it to the end of our podcast.
Yeah,
so that they...
everything that folks need to know about our organization's on our website. So habitattbg.org stands for Tampa Bay Gulf Side. So habitattbg.org. They can find how they can donate, volunteer. People that are interested in applying for the program, walks them through that whole process. And then there's also information on there about how they can advocate for affordable housing. So, if they're talking to their local lawmakers or, local elected officials, they can say like, hey, this is something we need in our community. Look at what Habitat's doing.
Get me that. Because we do advocate.
Okay.
We don't mind getting in the trenches, and affordable housing is part of our workforce development program of work for the year. So we're always happy to support in advocacy efforts.
Yeah.
So real quick, personal, how's the baby?
Awesome.
Right?
He is such a blessing. I never thought I'd have a kid. And I think Brooke was getting to the point too where she's a little younger than me, but I think she was kind of like, she was turning 40. She's like, I don't think, and, God has a funny sense of humor and, poof, here we are. Surprise. He's been so much fun and such a blessing and
changes your life.
Totally. I think some people at work think I'm become a little bit of a softer, gentler Mike because of it. But that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. But there's something about, like, when I come home and how excited he is. My mom picks him up a couple days a week and brings him to the house so that when we get home, we're home. And, there's nothing better than opening that door and he's smiling and he's
happy.
Yeah, hobbling over to me. And he started walking at 9 months.
My
he's
daughter
now
did too.
13. And for the last 5 months, he hasn't stopped.
Mm-hmm. Has he started talking?
I mean, he talks, but I don't know what the hell he's saying.
Well...
Oops, I don't know.
No, that's fine. Listen, I'm a mom of a 19-year-old daughter on the spectrum, so anything comes out of my mouth or anybody's mouth, I'm not shocked. But
he does say "dada."
Well, that's good.
And
of course, that would be his first word.
Of course, it's so fun. Last week he started. He's always kind of when I go to high five him, he always puts his hand up. Now he does the motion to clap, right? So we got the high five thing down now. I mean, it's fun. It's so much fun to just, and the innocence and the seeing the world through him is so much fun.
Well, enjoy it because it goes. I mean, I know everybody told me it goes really fast.
I'll be taking him for his driving test next week, probably.
Probably, right? And it's so much like. I grew up in chamber while being a mom, so I didn't have that experience of having my career established.
Sure. And
then having a kid. It was working all at the same time. I think that you did it right, actually.
Well, it's funny because a lot of people say, oh, don't you wish you would have done it younger? And I'm like, no, it's been perfect. I was able to establish my career. Correct. Same with Brooke. She's been at WFLA now for, I think, 16 years at Channel 8. And, we both have, established careers. We've, we're in a good place, as a family. And so it actually worked out great. Yeah. So, it's all how it's supposed to be.
And it does. Life has a funny way of working out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in.
This has been fun. Yeah. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we love to share the message of our members and the cool things that are happening in our community. So anytime you want to come back and have some more chamber chatter, we'll do it.
Anytime, hey, you need to fill a spot, just let me know.
All right.
I'm here.
I'll do it. All right, my friend.
Hope.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.